I just failed a test, and I feel quite shitty about it, actually. So how does the story begin? I decided about a year ago to learn how to drive, and in the last couple of months I thought, okay, I will do my driving theory test, get it done, then I can enjoy my summer. So I booked it in for today, the 2nd of June, and I studied as much as I could, but it has been kind of an intense time at work with some other things. But I did my best, and I went along today feeling kind of like a kid again, you know, one of those kids at school, or when we were at school and we were studying for exams and tests all the time, and you were nervous, but I don't know, it took me back. And I was walking up the street and it was sunny and I was in a good mood. And I went in and I started the exam and it was a lot of questions. I thought I'd probably made quite a few mistakes, but I'd done okay. And then at the end, the examiner was really lovely and she said, okay, there were 2 parts. There was the basic knowledge and then there were the B questions, because I want to have a driving license for a car, which here in Austria is called the B license. And she said, you passed the basic knowledge, but you failed the B questions by like 8%. And I left and walked down the street and started crying. And I felt like a big baby. And my head started going through all of these thoughts. I'm almost 32 years old. There are women my age with like 4 kids. There are women my age who own companies. Not just women, people my age who just don't cry at failing exams. So I got on the train to come back to where I live. And then somehow something came into my head and a voice said, you can only save yourself. No one else can come and save you. And I thought, that's so right. If I want to change my outlook, if I want to change what I've learned up until this point, I can change it. I can find a different way of viewing myself and viewing my life. But before I start changing my life and before I go through everything, I need to make a coffee, because I can't do all of that without one. Oh. No one's coming to save you, except yourself, hopefully. And I've had a lot of opportunities in my adulthood to save myself and change my life, and some of them have worked, and some of them haven't, or rather I haven't taken hold of that opportunity. We learn a lot of different lessons growing up, either things we're taught or things that we learn from the world. And I know I've mentioned this before, and one of the things I just so happened to be taught was that my worth is attached to my achievements. And that was so minutely drilled into me that I feel at this point I'm a tapestry, and that is running through every thread, every color, all throughout my tapestry. And to unwind it is so difficult. And when I was sitting on that train, blubbering, and I was thinking, you know what? This failed exam is not going to define me. And I can go home and get into bed and just cry and feel crap about myself and punish myself all day. Or I can do something else. So I'm changing the outlook. I'm going to continue this day exactly the way I would have done if I'd passed everything. I feel like one of the most joyous things about getting to know a city better, I mean, it's been 5 years in Vienna, but there are still some corners I don't know, is that you can become really comfortable not looking at Google Maps and not looking at your phone. And if you kind of know where somewhere is, you can just pootle along the road that you think is probably the right road, and then you kind of end up there anyway. And it just puts a little bit more whimsiness into life. I think I've actually found the vintage shop I want to go to as well. Oh, it's got such cool stuff. I'm not actually sure it's open though, that's the only thing. No, actually it opens at 2, so I'm gonna come back. I should really be leaving for work in a few minutes, but actually I had some chocolate and then I spilt it on my jumper, and then I need to wash my jumper and it's not ready, whatever. And then I had a nap and I've started to wake up, but you know when your eyes are kind of like you're trying to open them, but you're in this kind of like fog after a nap and they're like a bit gungy. But I had a couple of thoughts this afternoon and I was like, I want to share them next time I pick up the camera today. The funny thing was, the lovely thing was, is I had so much support before going into this exam. And everyone was like, you're going to smash it, woo! And I got some lovely messages from people today. And what was kind of amazing is that I found myself writing really positive messages back to them. And I wasn't even trying to tell myself, okay, this is the outlook I'm having, I need to write something upbeat. It just happened. It was like through the course of the day, deciding this morning that I was going to look on the bright side and I was still going to give myself some love today, actually worked, and pretty fast. And so instead of writing, I failed, I feel awful, I'm so embarrassed, or whatever, I started writing, hey, I got 96% in the larger module and it didn't manage the other one just by 8%, but I can do it again in 2 weeks, you know? And I just couldn't believe that I was seeing the effects of my decision so quickly. Isn't it a funny, I don't know, it was just a thought I had. You can tell me if you agree. But it's funny in life that when everything goes according to plan, then sure, life is sweet and it's enjoyable and there's this satisfaction that what you expected came to pass. But I couldn't help but think, well, although I kind of wish I'd passed both modules, obviously, is what I'm reaping now from my life today actually sweeter because it didn't go according to plan and I made the choice to still go on with my day, to still be upbeat, to still rise above the water. And then actually the joy and the fun and the excitement was sweeter. I enjoyed it more. And I think actually that's kind of a funny equilibrium about life, you know, because you want everything to go well, but actually sometimes life is sweeter when it really doesn't. I really need to go to work now and I need to see if this flipping jumper has finished being washed. Okay. Waking up.